Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thanks so much for joining me here. Happy Friday to you and your family. Hope you're having a great day here, especially with Pepe being on the up and up. And what's kind of cool is it did what we were expecting it to do, to pull back to that support level, and it just tested that resistance range. So we're right here, perfect in this little breakout potential area, and we want to talk about if that's going to happen, how that's going to work out, if that even is a possibility or not, and just kind of go from there. So if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, I love to teach people to trade. Hope you can learn something here today, of course. If you want to become a better trader, obviously join our Discord over at cryptocashpremium.tech. We do have, of course, premium area as well, where we provide you with automated day trades and swing trades. Those are awesome. Really healthy profits here being taken here recently, as you can kind of tell. But I do want to urge you to potentially join us over on Twitter, because then we can kind of keep you up to date on fundamental and technical data. And this is something you want to note here too. We've got Bitcoin with $1.26 billion in USDT transferred in under 10 minutes. That caused the spike from 30,000 to 31,000. Actually, 31,600 if I'm not mistaken. So really cool stuff there in that sense. And again, Pepe's following suit based on the fact that it being moderately paired with Bitcoin. Again, we've talked yesterday about how it's separating itself, but it's also very equal to. I mean, you take a look at this, it's a pretty similar pattern if you ask me, right? So again, just love to see it, don't get me wrong, not against it at all. I just want you to note that it's important to recognize that Bitcoin and Pepe are synonymous in a way. So if Bitcoin drops to 28,000 tomorrow, you can expect a pullback from Pepe. In fact, we've got 3 white soldiers printed from yesterday, so I wouldn't be surprised we even see that sometime today if Bitcoin pulls back to stay to 30,000 as a starting point and we lose that support level. So some things to kind of think about, right? Just big picture stuff I like to make sure you're aware of. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the big picture here on the daily and to kind of work our way down. Now, first of all, just to reiterate here, big picture, you look at this here, you can see this red zone here. That's essentially the previous support range that turned resistance, okay? So that's why it's red. We can flip it green once we close comfortably above, but we can see we're working perfectly within this range here. Today's candle, very bottom part to very top part of that box, right? Basically, so to summarize, 146,000, as I mentioned yesterday, was a support level, and then 176 as a resistance. Okay, so these things are kind of holding strong here for the moment. And there's a reason why support and resistance zones are a thing, because previously they had trouble breaking through those levels. And what it is basically, it's just a mindset of those who are in that range. They feel like it's a good value until it isn't. Okay? And that's kind of where we're at here. If people feel like Pepe is overextended at 176, they're going to sell at that level. And then once there's enough buying pressure, they eventually have FOMO and they want to get back in when the price is higher. It's a funny thing, but it's a lot of psychology. That being said, we're coming close to 70 on the RSI here. This is, I wouldn't say uncharted territory, because we've done this before previously, before we had the RSI kind of printing, because this is a 14-day lag, keep in mind. So right now at this point here, we can kind of see that in the last 14 days, the price is becoming overextended. Okay? So again, it's kind of averaging itself out, for lack of better terms, but that's a resistance level. So if we can't break through that, we can expect it to reject and potentially come back down to 50. If it were to come back down to 50, that should be right there in the 146 range, and that'd be perfectly fine. Better buying opportunity, more consolidation at a lower price point. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at there in that regard. But the truth is, we've got a MACD convergence here, and it's looking very strong. Okay, so there's no other way around it. We are above all moving averages. We're looking good. One last thing to note, the 50-day SIP moving average is consolidating right there at that lower point, 146. Okay, so awesome stuff there in that regard. We're looking pretty good here in the overall sense for Pepe. That being said, take a look at the 4-hour. We can kind of see here that this continuation is kind of messy, right? For lack of better terms, we got 1 all the way up to a 5. We had consolidated for 12 hours. Price shoots up to a 9. We get some extra overtime in. We've got some janky candles here for the last 24 hours, and now we're up to a 2 again. So this is kind of synonymous again in ways with Bitcoin, increasing, sideways increase, right? Just a little bit more extreme. Okay. So again, keep in mind we're range bound in this range here. We wicked up to the upper half of that, didn't quite break through, but the more often you test a resistance level, the more likely it is to break, right? Good thing is we have this current support range here at about 162, so the price could consolidate at 162 and leg up from there. That would take Bitcoin, at the very least, going sideways for the next 24 to 48 hours. Keep in mind, we're coming up on a weekend, and it's one of those weekends where anything could happen, but when we have this much buying pressure going into the weekend, you can expect some selling pressure over the weekend from not only altcoins, but Bitcoin as well. In fact, let's take a quick look at alts. We can see here that alts are essentially kind of breaking even the last 48 hours, whereas Bitcoin dominance is, of course, still increasing. So very interesting stuff there, but again, important things you want to recognize. All right, so enough about TD sequential. We want to look at the 4-hour time frame here and see that we're trending above 70 on the RSI. That's commonly a support level. You can only stay above that level for so long, though, so there's a good chance we will see a pullback from Pepe. I'm not recommending you take a massive short, but I can tell you that it wouldn't be a terrible idea because Bitcoin is overextended, and it wouldn't make a ton of sense for Bitcoin to continue to shoot much further from here unless we see another $1 to $3 billion put into the market. It doesn't make a ton of sense for that to happen over a weekend or late in the trading day on a Friday. Okay. Again, this is an early thing happening on a Friday, and it's really common for it to, if you have a strong morning, the afternoon typically can taper off. Right? It's rare for the afternoon to have a second surge. So I'm speculating we're going to see a decrease in value on either Pepe or other coins as well, more specifically Bitcoin, probably to pull back to that mid 30,000 range. All right, anyways, that's kind of where we're at there on the 4 hour. The last thing to note here is we're above all three moving averages. The one we want to pay attention to is a 20. This will continue to come up and average itself out. Price can't sustain above it, then we're going to potentially be below and work our way down. Okay. Again, just a small handful of things that could happen, but this weekend is going to be funky no matter how you look at it, because trading into a weekend is always weird, and when you have a lot of volume coming in on a Friday, weekends can get a little janky, but statistically, they're more likely to sell off than they are to increase, considering we've got so much profit, so much meat on the bone, that a lot of investors are going to be taking that trickle profit over the weekend. Okay, you see it happen all the time. It's like just a slow bleed. All right, so TD sequential, nothing much to note here. We just got a nice little reset there, so we have potential of 6 to 7 more hours of continuation. Coincidentally, that is how many hours we have left in roughly today's trading day. So I would say that we could very well see this price continue to run a little bit. I don't see 176,000 getting broken today unless Bitcoin goes crazy and retests 31,800 as a resistance range. Unless we can retest the upper 31,000 range, there's a good chance we're going to see Pepe kind of start to fizzle out a little bit. Again, it's not a bad thing. It's not a negative thing for the coin. It's just the reality of the fact that without the big dog continuing upwards, we're going to probably see the price action taper off. Now, there is things that happen with altcoins. Again, when we see altcoin dominance increasing, if we start to see Ethereum taking off, then we can kind of expect Pepe to probably do like the same. Because Ethereum is typically the first coin to start to kind of really go crazy when alts start to surge. And now again, just some stuff for the back end there. Forget I even said that. Honestly, this conversation for another day. But the thing I always look for with alt season is Ethereum 2xing Bitcoin, for lack of better terms. That's when we really want to be mindful of what's going on. All right, last thing we want to wrap up here would be the Ichimoku cloud on the hourly. We can see here it's getting kind of messy, right? The price action is intersecting with the lagging span. Conversion line and baseline are about the same place. And of course, the actual cloud itself is averaging itself out in the lower half of this support range. So to me, when I see something like that, I try not to consider long positions. I wait for a short, of course. In other words, we want to wait, just say hypothetically the cloud continues to average itself out like this. The price goes sideways then down here. That's when we want to consider a short, because then we're confirming a break below the cloud, and that's more of a firm indicator. Right now, we just have indications telling us that a long position should be closed by now, or at least some profits should have been taken. That's basically what it's telling us. All right, so again, just some small things to think about, but generally speaking, a lot of this depends on Bitcoin. So I'd watch my Bitcoin video if you haven't already, or just stay aware of what's happening with Bitcoin, because it's doing well at this price point. But if we lose that and it comes back down, there's a good chance we're going to be able to see some kind of correction. So again, just pay attention to that and know that that's a real thing. All right, well, we'll go ahead and continue to review this here. Thanks again so much for watching. And one last, of course, favor if you could, help us grow our Twitter community here and follow us at Cash Trading. We got some giveaways for our community, but just keeping you up to date with some really significantly important information here on a daily and or hourly basis. All right, so hope to have and get to know you better, have you along. Thanks again so much for joining me here. We'll see you in tomorrow's video. Have a good rest of your day.